You Oh, wait, we're both doing the same. I want to try to harmonize.
Huh?
I want to try to harmonize.
Okay.
You do the high? Oh God, I suck.
Maybe I should do the low. You do the high.
Okay.
I don't know. They don't have low voices.
Pardon my red face. I'm a little sun-kissed because I went camping this weekend.
But you always have red faces. We have to have that cool lighting.
Today we are going to talk about the Bee Gees and their extraordinary music career. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to my friend Gina for giving us these little bottles of Balcones Texas Rye that we are shooting today.
And also this Bacardi Lime and Soda.
Yeah.
Bacardi Lime and Soda. It's a real rum cocktail. It says it right on the thing.
Does it really?
Yes, it does.
Oh. Thank you, Gina. You are more than a woman to me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Very
nice. Because you did the thing with the thing.
Yeah,
you did the thing.
Yeah,
okay.
It's
I get
we're
it.
talking about the Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees. Staying alive. Okay. So anyway, shots. Cheers.
Oh yeah, true. We have to take the shots.
Boom. Thank you, Gina. Okay. So the Bee Gees.
Delicious, chocolatey.
So
Do I have something?
do you really have to point out the fake cocaine on your nose?
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Anyway, so the Bee Gees are a band, right? They got started they were born on the Isle of Man in England. Mm-hmm. Okay. The way they started is actually great. Like Three brothers. The way they started was they used to get on, because back in the 1950s, Britain, like the music acts were like shitty. There was nothing going on really. You know what I mean? Aside, the Beatles were coming up, but they weren't like super hot yet. And what all the bands would do in England at the time was they would lip sync to other acts. They would they'd go into a theater and they get on stage and would lip sync to shit. And the Bee Gees were no different. This is what they would do. However, one day their recorder broke, or like their record player broke, so they just had to they were like, oh shit, so now we got to sing for reals.
They were also like little babies. Like they were like in the pictures that they were showing of them, they looked like they were maybe the oldest one was like 12 years old, and then the other two were like 8.
Yeah. And so what they would do is they would sing. They had to start singing with their own voices instead of like lip syncing. And they found out it's like, oi, we actually have good voices and whatnot. And so that's when they started, singing. And then so they took off. Once they found out they could sing, they took off to Australia, and they stayed in Brisbane.
I'm doing the imaginary plane.
And they took off to Brisbane, and that's when they started their singing career. They had some album called or a song called Spicks and Spacks or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they got they started charting. And the funny thing is, right before they reached the Australia charting lists or whatever, they said, screw that, we're going back to England, because while they were in Australia, that's when the UK invasion started happening. And so they were like, dude, we just left the UK, and now the Beatles and shit are getting big, and all this stuff are getting big. It's let's go back to doing music over there. And that's when they went back. Going back, UK. And from the beginning, they knew they were going to be famous. They used to tell each other all the time that it's we're going to be famous blokes one day. And and they had crazy work ethic, and from the beginning they were killing it.
And they also had a serious everybody that's a music artist says it's oh, I just have this really deep connection to music, but the way they were is they really loved especially black music. They were really, really in love with it, and they wanted to sing like them and be like them, create music like them from when they were babies, little boys. Mm-hmm. And then they grew up with that influence and brought it into I guess more mainstream shit. Because would you consider the R&B from back then? It wasn't that popular, right?
It wasn't that popular. At least in the 50s it wasn't. And in the 60s, what was hot back then was that popish guitar like Beatles type stuff. I mean, the best example of that I can give to you is like just watch an Austin Powers like thing, and you could see, it's just that like bing, ba-ding, ba-ding, bing, ba-ding, and it's all like happy-go-lucky. It's whatever.
I saw her in the store.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Mrs. Robinson. Don't you know her? Like it's that stuff.
She was on the 13. She was on the 13.
But that's what they. But that's what they started doing, and they were actually really good at it. But the thing is, like in the '60s, they went to record execs to like try to pick them up, and record execs were like, "Nah, dude. Like we can't sell you. Like there's no like we don't think you're any good." Then Robert Stigwood, who is he was a guy that was their manager, like their first manager and their last manager was Robert Stigwood, because he was just like he loved them, like, and he believed in them like super hard. And he
kind of like represented like a little bit of a father figure in the, like, at least in the movie that I saw.
Well, I mean, their father was more their father figure.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying, like in the music industry, where it's like he like took them under his wing, and like he he thought that they were so talented that he was like, there's no way that these people should not be heard. Like,
also, he was from Australia too, so when he knew, I mean, granted, like they were from Britain and they went to Australia. When they came back, they were just all, give this act to Robert because he's Australian. He knows how to handle this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like, and I think Eric Clapton also agrees, is because he's Australian, that he had like a soft spot in his heart for them. Because Eric Clapton even said he's like, he was mad. Not mad, but he's like, Clapton. He had a certain, he was a little like, peeved. It's like, oh, they're your favorite ones. Like, hey, you also got me on the label, Yeah. And so, but he was a little like, he was a little jelly. He was a little jelly for sure. But, and their dad also tried to be like in a band. Like he had a band too, but they had like that family thing going on. Like, I don't know if you ever seen like, Selena, any of the Selena movies or whatever. No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the dad. Totally. Oh my God. Is Selena, their dad, his dad or her dad, like also helps them grow. Their dad did the same thing. You know what I mean? They were a family band, a family unit. That's where the relation goes,
Also, it was like a lot of like just support for them when they were little, like, like just their dad, I guess their dad saw that they loved that shit so much, like making music, that he bought all their equipment and all that shit for them to succeed. And being a parent, like driving them to venues and shit, like it all goes into what dad did,
Yeah. And like these dudes were like crazy talented. Like the way they wrote music was, they would go into the studio and they wouldn't write shit until the day of recording. And like they were talking about how they used to knock records out within like 3 weeks, 3 weeks of recording, and that's it. Boom. They had a record out because they would just write the music right then and there. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, they spent like every waking moment with each other. So they knew how each other operated. Right. And so when they were writing music, they just knew how each other thought, and they said it themselves. They were always trying to please one another. And so when they wrote music, it was easy to them. Like, cause they were just kind of like, boom, I want to do this. And then the other guy would say, okay, cool. Yeah, I want to do that. And blah, blah, blah. And they would just boom and come out with a track. And it was like, they had a lot, they did a lot of like, they had a lot of number one hits before the disco shit that we all know them for. So it wasn't like, they weren't just known for the, like, they didn't just do the disco shit. That's what everybody knows them for.
Even like, I didn't know much about them before, like, we started like looking into them. But my dad is like a huge fan of the Bee Gees. Like, he loves them. And I looked up, like the documentary shows them, their first song that comes out in it is that song Massachusetts.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't sound disco at all. It's a beautiful song too, but it's like, it's not disco at all. It's a totally different, it's almost a little bit like country to me. I don't know.
Well, actually, I mean,
there's like a twang to it.
We'll go like, okay, this is what their early shit sounds like, like.
That's how you knew. Have you seen my wife, Mr. Jones? Do you know?
This is what their early shit sounds like, and if you listen to
and
that,
it doesn't sound like.
It doesn't sound anything.
Wait, it doesn't sound anything like.
And if
You got something in there too?
yeah, I'll put that in there.
Okay.
And
Okay,
it doesn't sound anything like their early shit. Sounds nothing like their later shit. You know, I mean, and you could tell because it was like earlier stuff was like really poppy and
Do
everything.
you consider that selling out?
No, not at the time because I mean, if you're already pop, you can't just sell out from being pop. People think that you sell out from, you know, like just an example, you know, Slipknot, right? Slipknot went like it was like their first two albums. Her first album was like really hard, and he didn't sing that much. Second album, he started getting more like melodic and everything. Third album, he had an acoustic track. You know, like he put an acoustic track. He was getting softer. He started doing Burger King commercials. He had that burger with the thing with the
Right,
mask
but
and shit. That's selling out.
What's wrong with that? I know, like this is like a little bit of a tangent, but I think about it like because what happened to the Bee Gees? We're gonna get more in depth with this later, but what happened to them was they started off, you know, with their music career, and then they broke up, right, and then they came back and they made basically music for Saturday Night Fever.
No, okay. So let's talk about the first breakup first of all. Like,
Wait, but what I'm saying is that when they came back, they started writing music that had the disco sound to it.
no, but see, that's the thing. They weren't writing music that had the disco sound. They just wrote music, and disco as a genre or like as a scene was already happening.
Right, and they were just like,
And
you guys would be perfect for this.
Or no, they just started playing their shit. I mean, because think about it. They're, you should be dancing. Yeah. Like that shit was gangster, right? Because they were just like people was like got super into it.
Dude, like you can't tell me that's not good.
It's gangster shit. I love it. But let's talk about their first breakup. Okay. Because like,
Wait, but what I'm saying is like I feel like if you make music your career, it is honestly kind of your responsibility to sell out.
you try to appeal to the, I guess, like the largest audience you can. But the thing is, they started off already, like they were already on that route. You know what I mean? Like they weren't trying to, it's not like when you have a metal band, like say, I already said it. I'll say Slipknot again, because that's the only one that comes to mind right now. It's not when you have a metal band that starts off like super hardcore and like everything's like metal and, you know, and then they soften themselves up by the third album to like appeal to a wide variety of audience because they don't want to
Right, and then there's like different bands that they'll like soften themselves up, and then they'll like every album is like a change in sound, but it's only what's like the most popular at the time.
Right. It's like when Korn decided to do a joint album with like Skrillex. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, come on, dog.
Honestly,
Really?
that's pretty cool.
Really, Jonathan Davis? And you want to talk shit about Fred Durst? Kiss my ass, bro.
No,
But anyway,
I thought it was a great album.
it was horrible.
It was cool.
It was actually okay.
was
But
like,
the thing is, yeah. But the thing is, that is selling. That is selling out. That
I'm
is
just
like,
kidding. I didn't like that shit.
but that is selling out. And it wasn't that bad, but that is
Right,
like,
but like, why wouldn't you sell out as a musician? Like, if you're making it your career, right?
the thing is, why it's not selling out for them, at least as far as the Bee Gees goes, because they always had the intention of being famous. Now, you can't be famous unless you're appealing to a wide variety of people.
I didn't think that they had the intention of being
Yes,
famous.
they
honestly.
literally said it in the documentary.
Right, but
We will be famous one day.
Yeah, but they said they wanted to be famous, but also it was they genuinely knew that their music was good and they loved it, and so their idea was one day we're gonna make it big because we love this so much that people are gonna want to hear it.
Right.
I don't think it was I'm gonna make music to be famous. I think it's we have something really good now and we can be famous.
Right, but the thing is, they started off pop. They always loved making pop music. Like they never did not want to make pop
Well, think
music.
about when they were little kids. That's all that the
Right.
music was pop music.
Right, it's pop music. So
Because the only
that's
thing
why
you
it's
had was
not-
the radio.
That's why they didn't sell out, because they were like I said, most bands create their initial, like what they want to make. You know what I mean? Like this is the stuff that I really love to do. And then when they realize like, oh, we could make way more money doing this other thing, like being pop and selling out, then we will. But they from the get-go, from the very beginning, they said, we're going to be pop. Like, so they didn't sell out. They they sold out as soon as they like were born. You know what I'm saying? Like as soon as they were born, it's like, oh, you want to make a good
They're like
autistic
crying
album?
out of their mom's
Yeah, it's
womb,
like,
and then
"Hey,
like
we wanna
he
be
like
pop-"
turns over. There's like a record contract there, and he's like,
Yeah, like they were. Some people
he says "goo goo."
some people like they're made to be famous, and these cats were made to be famous. Like,
Right.
like when it comes to like people like Amy Winehouse and Kurt Cobain, they weren't made to be famous. Like it got to them, it fucked them over, and they they suffered the consequences, or like
Much like Andy.
Huh?
Andy.
Yes,
Andy Gibb.
and Andy. Thing about Andy, actually, I don't, we'll get into that, but
Well, let's go. Let's. I took us on a little tangent, but let's
Okay.
go back to like when they're kids. They start their band and all that, and then they blow up. And then after a while from them being together, they
develop little egos. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? They're just like no, because
they all wanted to take control over the group.
I think it was Robin Gibb. Was it Robin and Barry? They're the two like main singers, right? They were the ones that they both had great voices, and so they wanted to be the focal point of the band. But I think, like I said, they were all kids that had spent every waking moment with each other, and so they decided, he's like, you know what, it's time to adult, and so that's when they split. And the split was actually a good thing for them, because they said they all went, they got married, and they found their own voices. Because what the documentary does gloss over is that they found a lot of success on their own. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, well they were all super talented. Like,
right, but
It's kind of one of those things where, like, if any of them breaks away, they're gonna be fine.
like Robin Gibb had a song that like performed on the charts, that made top 10, and then Barry and Morris like came out with a single too, and it performed just as well as Robin's single, and and they would like talk shit about each other, like
Oh yeah, but they would do it like kind of
through
like
the media.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they would call Maurice and be like, "Hey, can you tell Barry that this?" And then Andy would call. I'm sorry, Robin would call Maurice and be like, "Can you tell Barry this?" And Barry would call him, "Can you tell this?" And he's like, "Nah, dude, you call each other. Stop talking to me, bro."
This honestly, that to me though sounds still as shitty as it is. It sounds really like wholesome to me, because they were like little kids that grew up together, and now they have the ability to fight through the media.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like when
they live completely different lives than us.
That's what I'm saying. When you told me like, okay, this is gonna be like a dark,
ass, dude. My ass hurts.
It's gonna be a sad doc. It wasn't really sad. They had dark parts, but everybody does, right? But their sad parts are just kind of like, it's Maurice telling. We'll
get
Robin,
to the sad part later. The part that
Robin,
I think is really sad.
Robin called Barry. No, I don't. And then
I'm not gonna do it.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to.
I don't have enough mints.
And that's the way they were acting. But what happened is, after the breakup, when they all came together and they all adulted and got married and whatever, they said themselves that they found respect for one another. Like before, they were just kind of like kids. They wanted to make music and they were having fun doing it, but they didn't respect each other's opinions. Now they did. Now they're just kind of like, okay, like, what do you think? And what do you think? And let's all, act as a family unit. Yeah, family unit.
Well, yeah, that's what they said when they broke up. They were boys, and when they came back,
they were men.
and that's when Boys to Men started. I'm just kidding. No, but that's what they said, is that they all kind of got an ego because like they were probably drowning in puss and like doing a lot of drugs.
Well,
and
what's his
shit.
name? He said, he's like, I had 6 Rolls Royces before the age of 21. I don't know what the fuck they all now. Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
or
what?
like where they were saying, one of them was saying how he would listen to the Beatles, and the next thing he knows, he's listening to the Beatles, and then 2 years later, he's
Hanging out
partying
with the
with the
Beatles.
Beatles.
Yeah.
Like, so think about them being so young and getting all that clout, and then it got to their heads, but they grew up together and made music together, and they also had such a passion for music that they knew, like, nobody loves music the way my brother loves music. Like, nobody loves music, and nobody can make music the way my brother can make music. And I think that's like really, really beautiful.
But I think also what they recognize is that they had a secret weapon that no one else had. And that's that they were able to harmonize with each other. Like, I know you hate those parts, like with Justin Timberlake, and but Justin Timberlake, when he was in the documentary, he said something that was very profound, especially for Justin Timberlake, where he's like, they're the only ones who had their own voices. And also the lead singer or the guy from Oasis, he said like they had their voices, which nobody else had. Like he said, you can go to, Guitar Center and buy the instrument that makes the sound and all that shit.
Right.
But it's like nobody has that shit that they have. Like,
the only thing
harmonizing of the
that
voices.
Justin Timberlake said on that documentary that was worth anything
I'm not high.
I'm
not high.
Yeah, that was it. That's the only thing. No. The only thing that he said was that that part, like, it could have been a horn,
Right.
but they were just so badass that they were just like, no, we'll sing that part. And if you really listen to that part, like, it does sound like it could have been like, bow, 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 staying alive, but they did it with their voices.
Right.
So they did it all together, which is like really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only thing that Justin Timberlake said on that podcast. On that documentary. Because
wait, no, it's like also on the Facebook, check off the. I don't know if you ever saw The Social Network. That was his like he played the character that came in when like the guys were talking about making Facebook, and he played the guy who made Napster, and he was like, you know what, on the Facebook, just take off the. And then like the guy who made Facebook is like, really? This is all this fucker's gonna like contribute to the fucking like conversation. Right. That's anyway.
So every movie that Justin Timberlake is in, he really only says one good thing. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's Justin Timberlake. Anyway, so after their first breakup, they come back, right? They write "How Can You Mend a Broken Heart?" Like that's the title of the documentary.
And that is the title of the documentary, and also it's oh shit, Jesus Christ, sorry. It's you think about the song as like, it's about like a breakup or something, but it's about their breakup. Mm-hmm. It's not about like a love story. Wait, I guess it is, but it's about them
being brothers and like not seeing each other for a while,
right? And then when they come back together, well, what's his face? The dude, the record producer guy.
Stigwood, Robert Stigwood.
Yeah,
right.
He was the one because he moved record labels. Like he had the rights to them somewhere else, and then he moved and he was like, I'm going to take the Bee Gees and I'm going to take Eric Clapton.
Oh, it's because when the record company that he was with, Robert Epstein, I think it was his name, Robert Epstein, the manager of the Beatles at the time.
Not related to Jeffrey Epstein.
No.
But he did fuck kids. I'm just kidding.
Damn, dude. Anyway, he died.
He didn't do that. He didn't.
He died, and then Robert Stigwood asked for a bigger like role in the record company, and they're just like, no, we're not about it. And so he's like, all right, screw you guys. And then so he took Eric Clapton and the Bee Gees with him. Clapton. And the Bee Gees with him and formed RSO Records, which was like, like a super big, record company. But yeah, that's what he took. He took both of them with him. And after their breakup, when they came back, they noticed that like the world had kind of, forgotten about them for a while. You know what I mean? And then, so they're just like, they didn't have shit going on and blah, blah, blah. And to revive Eric Clapton's career, Eric Clapton went to Miami and he recorded in Miami, and he would and his career came back. You know what I mean? He was just kind of like, I'm killing it, blah, blah, blah.
Well, he credited it to a change of scenery.
Right. Well,
he was like, I'm going to go to Miami. I'm going to record, and it helped me produce his album. And he told them, he was like, because they were like, dude, we have like writer's block. We don't know what the fuck to do. And he was like, come to America, get a change of scenery.
And see what it does for you.
Yeah.
I mean, when what's his name's talking about
and
it,
then
he says,
this started.
No, they were talking about like, dude, it's like, dude, we're from London, and it's always dreary, and it's like raining all the time, and it sucks. And people like fish and chips, and that's like the only thing they eat around here.
I'm like actually breathing in like
flour, but that's organic. That's organic flour from Sprouts, so it's good shit.
It fucks you up, honestly.
Anyway, so when they were talking about it, it's like they moved to Miami, and it's like a fucking dream, right? Because it's like sunny as shit, palm trees and what, and then we talked about as kids, we're gonna buy 3 houses.
They had to buy sunscreen.
Right. Yeah. Buy sunscreen. But yeah, like, but that's when they were in Miami, that's when they hired that dude, Arif Martin. Now, Arif Martin was the guy who worked for Atlantic Records.
Right.
And he had worked for a bunch of R&B dudes, like, R&B groups or whatever.
Right.
And they picked him up.
Okay, but what we should say is that R&B was like largely, well, it was entirely black.
Actually, yes, because there's another documentary. It's just basically like a sciencey, like factual based one, where they said that when they tried to do their R&B shit on their own, that no one wanted to buy, like no record company wanted to distribute their records because they said,
well, this is good.
Yeah, but you're just trying it now?
Yeah.
I'm like almost done with mine.
I finished my beer.
What they said was like, he's like, no, we can't sell your records. Like, dude, white people selling R&B records? Come on. Like, there's no way. It's not going to work. And so, like, record companies were just like, no, we're not going to sell your shit. But then, like you said, it was predominantly a black thing. And
right, but also what we should say is that the record companies, and that's what you start to realize with this whole situation with the Bee Gees, is that record companies, I mean, it's classic capitalism. You can't shit on them for it, but they only want to sell, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to do whatever they can to make money.
Yes.
So R&B didn't sell, right? Like, it was around and some companies were supporting it, but it wasn't mainstream. At the time, it was kind of a little bit of like an indie thing that was like, you play it at clubs, it was usually like black clubs. That's it. Right?
Yeah, totally. But like, it's so what the disco. Okay, so Arif Martin came in the scene, whatever. He says you need to change your sound. Like, you're gonna come back out because you guys, like, no one likes you now, and you need to change your sound. It's like, okay, I've worked with a bunch of R&B people. Let's change your sound up. And the disco crew, like the disco, what do you call it, scene, was predominantly, gay and black. You know what I mean?
But there was no such thing as a disco scene.
Right. At the time there was. It was
just
underground, but it was underground.
It was just a club scene. It was just gay clubs. Even like there's a dude that came out on the documentary,
he said that there was a law in New York.
Yeah. And that's fucked up. Like, there was a law in New York at the time when the Bee Gees were coming up that said that people of the same sex could not dance together in a club that sold liquor.
Yep.
That had a liquor license. Mm-hmm. And that's such a weird thing because it's like, why would you make that law? It's because you know that people get drunk, and when they get drunk, they lose like their
inhibitions.
Yeah. And they want to be themselves more. So, people get drunk and like, oh yeah, and like these two homos are like kissing in my club now. And it's like, that's like such a shitty law.
But see, that goes back to the furries episode where it's just kind of like, it's the right wing trying to fuck shit up again.
Right. And it is like, I think that the furries episode and this one have a lot in common, honestly.
Yeah, there's actually, I believe there's just like a bridge in between, but we'll get to that at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So anyway, after Arif Martin came in, he changed your sound. I do love this part because it shows like, how people just kind of assume that inspiration comes out of nowhere or whatever.
Right.
But it comes from somewhere. And so when I forgot it, I think it was Robin Gibb when he was talking about, no, it was Maurice Gibb, sorry. When he was talking about they used to cross the bridge between where they were staying at to like the recording studio. And they used to cross the bridge and like the tires would make this noise like tick, 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 tick. And he's like, shit. He's like, he asks his guitars, you know how to make this shit? And he's all like, oh, I can figure it out, whatever, blah, blah. And it's like that chicken pick. They call it chicken picking or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you know how to make it? And from that was born Jive Talkin, because it was all Jive Talkin. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so Jive Talkin was the one that introduced them to like, that was their new sound, like Jive Talkin. You know what I mean? That's what got them, and it it hit number one in the U.S. And that was like the first time they ever hit number one in the U.S. And that's when they knew we're on to something here. And, you know, that's started their whole evolution into, you know, their disco route, which, like I said, if you talk to him or while they were alive, you ask them, it's like, you know, are they a disco band? No. But I feel like them denying that they're a disco band is kind of like talking to Tom Brady and being like, hey, you're that football guy. And he's like, no, I don't like football. Like, it's all like,
well, I think that the reason that they did that was because they're in their eyes, they're just musicians. And really, like, what we were talking about is that they had a lot of influences that were black, and they kind of like started making R&B, and like I feel like that natural progression of those two things combined like kind of inspired them to make music that was along the same lines, you know?
yeah.
So I don't think that they called themselves disco, but that's what happened. That's what the club owner was saying, was that they had this whole like underground society of like, well, so New York had that weird law.
They changed it.
Yeah, but when that changed, then he opened a gay club, and
blew up.
Everybody in New York started going to those clubs. But what would happen in those clubs was people were dancing, and that's where disco originated. But it wasn't called disco. It was just like club music. That's all it was. It was just, oh, we're gonna go to the club and we're gonna dance. They never called it disco. But when the music industry like caught wind of that and decided, oh, we can make money off of this, the music industry started branding it as disco. And so after that happened, all like disco started blowing up and it became mainstream, but it started out in gay clubs.
Because that's when the law changed. Like after a while, it turned out that it wasn't just it was this guy Nick Cohn, and he wrote an article that it was called "The Tribal Rights of Saturday Night," and what it stated was that disco wasn't just for like gays and blacks anymore. That straight people from the suburbs were going out and they wanted to boogie down. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. And it's like, oh, you can take your girl out and show her that you can dance.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like,
and you know what? Like, I think that Bee Gees also, what they did was there's a part in the film where this guy talks about how their lyrics are it's kind of like what you want to tell your girlfriend, but you can't. Like, you're not man enough. So
yeah,
it's really sensitive. Like, sorry.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was a big one.
I'm gonna have to edit that fucking thing out.
Fuck. Thanks, Gina. That's delicious. Honestly, it's like fucking. It just all came out of me right now.
It's a real rum cocktail, Bacardi.
It is a real rum cocktail.
Continue.
But I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, like we were talking about Massachusetts. That black guy, he was talking about how it, you know, it's sensualized. Is that a word?
Oh yeah, no, it made it. It's more sensitive.
Right,
like,
right.
So it's kind of like you can play that, like, instead of like being, you know, genuinely sincere with your girlfriend and being like, hey, you know, you mean a lot to me or whatever. What you would do back then is you just like drive her around in your car with the top down or whatever, and then you park somewhere.
This bitch is Jive Talkin. She's Jive Talkin. And it's like, no. Sorry, I got the thing on with the glasses, and it's got me in the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's a like you could. It's the kind of music, if you're, because back then you got to think about, everybody was a macho man. Nobody wanted to be seen as gay.
80s macho man.
No, okay, come on. Yeah. No. Well, okay, speaking about that song, that's like as gay as it gets. Anyway, but everybody was, you know, it wasn't cool to be feminine or like, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you would play these songs for your girl, and like you could make her a mixtape or whatever. Not even a mixtape, but like, you know, whatever. Like you could like play the songs and like dance with her in a club, and it's like acceptable, but it's also got lumped into the disco movement, which is trash. Like it shouldn't have been lumped into the
No,
disco movement.
that wasn't until the end because okay, let's backtrack a little bit and talk about the sound that became like what they based pretty much their entire like late 70s to actually no, like their whole 70s sound was that falsetto voice.
And it is crazy how you can separate the Bee Gees in eras.
Yeah, because it's before the falsetto voice. You know what I mean? Because like they were just like, hey, can you yell that? And he was just like, and it was just like, whoa.
Well, they were trying to make him scream it, and he was like, well, they said you got to scream it, but you got to scream in tune. Mm-hmm. So he was like, I'll try it, but he was trying to scream, but I guess his vocal cords are like so superior,
good, yeah,
that he was just like, oh yeah, no, I could just hit the note.
But he even said, he's like, I didn't know I could do that. Like I didn't know I could.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I can do that. But again, they weren't the pioneers of that shit. Right. Like what the guy said, he was like, it doesn't occur in a vacuum.
And that's what I love about them too, is that they don't take, like, they admit where their influences are from. Like they're not just like some white dudes that like fucking
the Beatles.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not the Beatles.
What?
They're not the Beatles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're just not some white dudes that took over a fucking
genre
of, or not even that, like just like fucking corporatized the genre of music. They openly admit that black people were doing this shit
way before that.
Way before, and that was their influences,
Yeah. And so like that.
Do you know the actual name of the dude that he got influenced by, or
no? Because what he said was that it was like falsetto, that type of voice was like a black
R&B thing.
Yeah, it was a black R&B thing. Like a lot of people were doing it. It wasn't just him. The Spinners, like that was a group that he talked about that did it. The Spinners are the ones who do like
the spinning.
Whenever you want, I'll be there. Whenever you call, I'll be there. Whenever you want me, I'll be there.
Dude, you're turning me
I'll
on.
be around.
You're turning me on, and I don't like it.
Dude, I'll be around. You remember I'll be around? Dude, I love that song.
Dude.
Love that song. Anyway.
Fucking Jesus Christ. My lily white chest is full of sweat right now, dude.
Okay. So anyway. Around this time, this is when Andy Gibb starts coming up.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
And he's way younger.
Way younger,
Real little baby.
But he also put in work. Like it wasn't just like, oh, I'm the brother of like Barry and all of Gibbs. Like I'm not gonna do work. No, he put in 2 years in Australia, and then I think Barry called him up and he's like, yo, I want to produce you. And then there was points in his career when he was just kind of like doing better than them. Like he was number 1 in the charts and they were like number 4 or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But let's like. I think the next turning point is the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. That's the next turning point.
Imagine having that conversation with your brother.
You want to be a millionaire?
No, remember like when we would bartend, and at the end of the night we would all be like sitting down counting money or whatever, and then it's like, dude, do you see how I outsold you? Like, I fucking outsold you by $1,000. And then you'd be like, bitch, it's because you had like, I had the window, I was like all busy or whatever, and it's like, imagine like them calling up their little brother like, hey, congratulations on your first top billboards or whatever, like we've been on there before,
It's a normal thing for us, whatever.
Imagine having that conversation though, like with your fucking family, like, over like global music shit.
But that's what I'm saying. Like some people are built to be famous, and I think the Gibb family was built to be famous because like even when their younger brother came up, he was killing it. So let's talk about the whole Saturday Night Fever thing. Like so this is the part, their turning point. They're changing the career where they switch styles, but I mean they fucking murder it because they're the disco band. I know you don't like to hear it, the Gibbs, but you guys are a disco band, or you guys were really good at making disco music. Yeah, you have to say it, dude, because they are. Like even when that scene in Mystery Men, I know we talked about it before this, but it shows him like standing there and he's like starting to do like the disco moves and shit. They're playing the Bee Gees in the background. And then he walks up to the other character and he's all like, oh, well, disco is dead. disco is not that. Disco is life. And he holds up the Bee Gees like soundtrack. It's the Bee Gees, man. Like the Bee Gees are disco as shit. Like they just are.
I can't tell if they're shitting on the Bee Gees or appreciating the Bee Gees.
No, they're appreciating the Bee Gees. Okay. Like they were because they
Then
were
it's
like
okay. Then it's okay.
anyway.
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. So anyway, so Robert Stigwood has this idea after reading the article by Nick Cohn about like the tribal rights of Saturday Night. He's all like, "Oh, I want to make a movie about that." And he buys the rights to the movie for this article. Like nothing's been made yet or whatever. And he gets John Travolta, who's just like this TV actor at the time, and like signs him to a 3-movie deal, which at the time everybody thought was insane. You don't do that shit, whatever. He's like, we need a soundtrack. We need a soundtrack to the movie. They were floating around. They gave it to the Bee Gees, and the Bee Gees were just kind of like, okay, we'll make something. So they made a song called Night Fever. Mm-hmm. And so when they're coming up with the name for the movie, it's all like, well, can't be Trouble Rights to Saturday Night. It's too fucking long. It can't be Night Fever. It sounds like a porno. And the guy's like, I know, Saturday Night Fever. And then that's when they call it Saturday Night Fever. So the movie title was inspired by their song title. And from there, like they came out, the guy said, he's like, I want you to make some songs for this. And this is how talented they were. Like, this is insane. Where like he gave them, they gave him like the tape for the soundtrack they wanted to make. And the first 4 tracks on there, all of them were like #1 hits, and all of them in their own right were like amazing songs. And when the soundtrack actually came out, it was like the highest selling album at the time, the highest selling album of all time.
Right. And it was a movie soundtrack.
It was a movie soundtrack. That's how good these dudes were. And
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's the talent level with the Bee Gees is just like fucking insane. You know what I mean? Like these guys are great. But like the best track, everybody knows the best track in the Bee Gees soundtrack is Staying Alive. Now, the way they made Staying Alive, that shit was great. Yeah, it's Staying Alive, dude. It's Staying Alive. Everybody knows.
Now, to me, how deep is your love?
So what's kind of glossed over a little bit, and it doesn't talk about like how it might have influenced, music making for the future, was that Staying Alive was actually constructed from parts of like Jive Talkin and Night Fever. Like, the drummer had to take off because his mom had cancer or something like that. And so the sound engineer like took a clip from like...
Oh, yeah. Well, what they did is actually they created kind of like... I don't want to say it's actually, it might have been the first sample because hip-hop used samples, but that shit didn't happen until like the 80s. When this fool made a sample, because he said that he used to study at Berkeley. So he took a little clip from, I forgot what song.
It was Night Fever.
Night Fever?
Yeah, it was Night Fever.
And it was like a drum beat. And he took it and he slowed it down. And using that slowed down beat, he was able to loop it to create a beat for a new song because they lost their drummer. So it sounded so good that it actually became part of the sound of the band. They needed like they still had like a live drummer, but for certain songs they had to use that.
Right, but he said like never before or never again would we rely on the liveness of the band to like be there to like make this shit.
Right.
And because even the drummer,
that's where I think that's like where it became kind of like studio music, where...
Yeah, because like, even the drummer said, he's like, when he came back and heard it, he was all like, damn, dude, that sounds fucking good. You know what I mean? Like,
he was also just like...
It's like, fuck, I'm about to lose my...
Like in the last episode,
dude.
we were talking about how Amazon drivers are scared of losing their...
Yeah, he thought he was going to lose his
He was
just
job,
like,
oh, shit, dude.
Yeah.
That's why he was just fucking sweating his ass off.
So, when Staying Alive came out, like, it wasn't about Staying Alive wasn't about dancing or having a good time or whatever. It was about like, because at the time in New York, it was like really shitty. Like people, it was like the hottest summer type thing going on. When like the Son of Sam was going around killing people, and the 44 caliber killer was going around killing people, and people just didn't have money.
Rioting,
and it was like
looting.
Yeah, rioting, looting. It was crazy. And
Much like modern times.
yeah, it was a song about surviving. So if you listen to it, like whether you were a brother or whether you were a mother, you were staying alive. And so, you know, like you were staying alive, trying to stay
It
alive.
is crazy. Like New York was fucked up.
Yeah. And
Like people like think of New York now as like concrete jungle, you know, like no, fuck that. New York was like shitty. Like I forgot what I was listening to, but it was a podcast, I'm guessing, that was talking about how New York, Times Square used to be a fucking dump. It was like sex shops everywhere. Just
still like that. Still sex shops everywhere.
what?
Yeah, there's a lot of sex shops on Times Square. Yeah, totally.
I've never been to New York.
I've only been there once, and it was a lot of sex shops.
Well, when was that? 1970?
No, it was like 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But there's a lot of sex shops in New York, Times Square.
I guess things don't change, you know what I mean?
But I think it's a testament to how good of songwriters they were. Where like you listen to the song and you don't like dissect the lyrics because you're just jamming out so hard to it. Because it's
Right.
like, whether you were a brother or whether you were a mother, you were just staying alive. And it just wants you to like. It just makes you want to walk down like wherever and just like. Shit's good, but yeah. So that album became the highest selling album of all time. It won a Grammy. John Travolta, he got nominated for an Academy Award. Like it was insane. The amount of fame was insane. But
It got so overwhelming for John Travolta that he joined the Scientology church.
yeah, it was crazy. And then like Robot John Travolta came out in 2017 and said, "Yeah, we're gonna provide the award to Barry. Yeah, he's still alive.
to thank him
Thank you for."
your brothers are dead, but you are still here. Thank
Straight
you,
up.
Elron.
He looked like shit. He was all like plastic surgery
Yeah.
up. It looks weird.
He had a stupid little disco suit on.
But of course, for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. And they became so prevalent for disco that, you know, like disco became so overbought, I guess you could say. Like,
Well,
like,
they were-
there was a disco duck and the fucking
Yeah, all the Burger
fucking-
King commercials, everything like
You want the
was-
disco?
yeah, and it was just that was the music industry's fault though, because they branded disco, which was a gay community thing that was from a genre of music that was invented by black people. They branded it as disco, and then they started pushing it because they were realizing, you know, we're gonna make a lot of money doing this shit, right? So they
Christmas disco albums.
Yeah.
Other shit, yeah.
So it eventually became it got to a point where, you know, so much shit is a disco oriented now that all the younger kids, the younger generations of shit are, it seems like old people music. And then this fucking DJ took advantage of that shit and, you know, like fucked everything up, right?
Yeah, he's the guy that basically I looked it up and he said he didn't think that it was gonna like he didn't think it was like a racist or a sexist thing to do or whatever. But
I believe that.
yeah, but again, he didn't think. But of
didn't
course,
think
he
is the
didn't think
key.
he was gonna do
Yeah.
right. And so what he hosted, his name is Steve Dahl. He actually looks like Steve Bannon, which fucking Steve's, right? Yeah. And
Classic Steve.
And if you don't, what he did was like he held a disco demolition night where people would go. And
He was letting in people into
for 89 cents if you had a disco album to the
98 cents.
98 cents.
98 cents to the White Sox stadium, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you just got in there. You took your record, and if you had a record in your hand, you got in for 98 cents. And his whole thing was even the way he would advertise himself. Like there's this clip that I saw where he has a disco record and he's holding it in his hand. And he's like, "Let me show you what I do with disco records. Like I see them, and then I just look at it, and then this is how I deal with it." And he starts smashing the record on his head, like obnoxiously, like, and then it breaks or whatever. And he's like, "I feel a lot better now." But it's, to me, maybe it's because I'm biased, like because I like the music. But to me, it was kind of like the first Jackass. You know what I mean?
Well,
like the first, even like when he would go on talk shows and stuff, he would have like a
Army helmet,
like
and shit like that. Yeah.
yeah.
I think
he was just trying to rile feathers.
Well, the thing about it is that he got fired from a lot of radio stations back then, and like I mean, think about you're like a radio DJ, you know, and you're trying to play music and you love music, and disco's at the height of an era, and like the Bee Gees own 4 of the top 10 songs, so you're just like Bee Gees song, Bee Gees song, Bee Gees song, Bee Gees song, and it's like, oh, Andy Gibb, Bee Gees song. So all you're listening to is disco over and over again. Like at that point, you're just like, when you get fired, you're just like, fuck disco. But what he didn't think was that when he had that disco demolition night, because there was a guy who was like an usher when it happened. He's like, people were taking records to be destroyed, and it was like Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Al Green, and you know, people were destroying black records,
R&B records,
and it was a bunch of rock dudes. There's some people that I know like this, where they're like, you know, they're hardcore about one type of music, and anything that you like, they'd be like, oh, you like that? That's gay, dude. Like, or like they hate that, or whatever. It's like, okay, how does what I like affect what the fuck is going on with your life, dude? Like, stop being a bitch about it.
So what if I'm a furry?
Yeah. So what if I like Limp Bizkit? Go away.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah.
Same thing, honestly.
Yeah, basically. And so like they went and like they destroyed a bunch of albums, and you know, and they exploded them, and they had to cancel the game and shit.
They put them all in like a little box, which honestly was an underwhelming box. Like it was tiny. You think about all the people that went there, and they said that there was 15,000 people that got turned away because the stadium got so full. They had a box that was probably the size of this room, maybe, and maybe up to like the top of your head, full of disco records, and they blew it up, and it was like, you know, whatever. But then this fucking riot happened afterwards.
They stormed the field, and they started knocking shit over, and it was crazy as shit. Granted, at the same time, the Bee Gees are like touring and like selling out crowds, but what ended up happening is that it created like this backlash to where, and there was a Rolling Stone guy and a couple of like professors and stuff that kind of like to study this shit. And they said that it was really a backlash between like people saw corporate entities like heavily investing into gay and like black, you know, what do you call it? IPs, whatever, you know, and they hated it because they were straight white dudes who just didn't like this shit. And they were trying to fight against it.
Well, the way it was like they felt threatened. Like, oh, if everybody starts listening to this, then we're gonna be surrounded by gay black dudes all the time.
Yeah, but it was
that's seriously how.
But
it
was also sexist. You know what I mean? They weren't like they were totally anti. They were anti everything. They're basically the right. You know what I mean? They were the right.
Don't say that.
It's true. It's true. It's right.
Yeah.
It is.
I guess it is true, but I don't like to.
Now, granted, Steve Dahl, I don't think he's right. I don't think he's right wing. I just thought he's the guy who got pissed off, said he's going to have this stupid event and like people were going to blow up records, but he didn't think to realize, you know, what disco meant for people, you know, especially in the gay and the black community.
He was just a jackass.
He was a jackass. He was just doing stupid shit to do stupid shit and to get paid, you know. But the important thing after this is that when like the Bee Gees tried to release any more music after this, they were blacklisted by every radio jock like in the country, because nobody wanted to play disco after this, or no one wanted to play their music because they had been branded as a purely disco band. So if they wanted to make anything else after it, it was just all like, no, that disco shit, no, we're not playing it. We're not
Despite
playing
the fact that they had like a really diverse musical career, the only thing that they were known for was their disco shit that they created.
But even today, like everybody knows them for like, you know, Staying Alive.
Right. And those are killer songs though.
They're great.
Fucking killer songs.
Yeah. But the crazy thing about like the Bee Gees is that even when they were canceled, essentially, they because they were canceled. They were canceled by the right.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
that they still wrote music for Barbra Streisand, Diana Ross, Dolly Parton, Celine Dion. You know,
they all like they were still making hits.
Yeah,
but they were
killing
just
it.
like they just weren't the face of the hits. But all the hits that people were hearing at the time were written by them.
Yep. Yeah, so it's just crazy to think that here's a band that was turned away not once, not twice, but 3 times by, I guess, the world in general. And they came back and they still managed to, like, you know, flourish, even though they weren't performing. Because even in the 80s, they came back and they started performing again. But, you know, and they were still, like, you know, selling out crowds and, like, killing it. That they've always managed to adapt because they were so talented in what they did. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they wrote like the pop 60s shit, killing it. They wrote the disco shit, killing it. They came back and wrote shit for other people, killing it. Like, just, I don't know, man. The Bee Gees. Bee Gees are the shit. I think that's a good takeaway from this.
Yeah.
So next time, we're going to be talking about Cantinflas. That's for homie Jorge there, dude. Cantinflas was a, a prominent Mexican comedian. People loved him. We don't know dick about him, so we're going to go ahead and find out about him and then have a whole episode about him. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, sure. Whatever, dude. I'm just
All right, cool.
I'm just happy to be here, man. You know, want to thank God. Want to thank my family. It's a good organization.
We're not there yet. We haven't had to apologize for anything yet.
Okay.
Please like, subscribe, follow us on IG. And then if you have any like suggestions or whatever, like comment below. Cheers and good night. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Gina, for everything.
Thanks
that you
again,
gave
Gina.
us today.
Bye.